Yo, if I start looking or sounding like a zombie in these videos, it's because I switched my schedule to 5 a.m. Yo, having a newborn is madness, an infant is madness. Now, let's get into it. This video, I want to talk about some simple yet very effective cinematography tips that can help you that I wish I knew when I first started. And the first cinematography tip that I wish I knew when I first started out is hold your shots. Now, me coming from a music video background, a lot of the B-roll that I tend to get from my music videos is just me bouncing around all over the place. I'm filming a wide shot of the artist jumping up and down, then I'm switching to a close-up shot of the artist maybe smoking, and then I'm putting the camera on the gimbal to get the revolving shot, B-roll, slow motion. And this has bit me in the butt a ton, just trying to be too fast and just trying to film everything. When it boils down to it and I get into the editing space, I'm finding that I'm not getting the cinematic, the climactic action of the B-roll shot. Maybe the artist was super turned up and then they hit a super tight move. And me just trying to bounce all over the place, I hit stop record right before that action happens pretty much every single time. So holding your shots helps out a ton, especially with documentary stuff, which I've been trying out lately. I'm filming sequences of the subject doing certain things, like with my barber, I'm filming him cleaning his clippers, right? And my music video background is, okay, cut this shot and then switch your lens and go to the close-up real quick. Whereas if I would have sat there and held the shot, I would have got the main course of the entire dinner because they said something that meant something, you know what I mean? Or they did an action that was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. So, just holding your shots for an extra couple seconds every single time will help you a ton, especially in the editing space. Music videos, with documentaries, with even commercials, anything. If you're thinking about switching and stopping the recording, make sure that the action of the subject is done before you do this. All right, it's gonna help you a ton in editing, I'm telling you. Now, the second cinematography tip that I wish I knew when I first started out is frame up your widest shots always first. I love close-up shots. That's just my thing. I love filming medium close-up shots, super intricate details, emotions on people's faces. I love that. So in the past, what I would do was I would get to my set or I would get to my scene. I would set up all of my lighting, all of my diffusers, all of my filtration, all of this stuff around capturing the most perfect close-up shot. And it bit me in the butt on set a ton because I'm wasting a ton of time doing it this way. I'm gonna tell you why. When you get to set, you should always frame up for your widest shot first, always. Make sure that you can get your lights out of the widest shot possible. Set up your lighting around that, get all your lights out of the shot, get all of your diffusion out of the shot, get all of your, maybe you're using V-flats, or maybe you're using a reflector, or maybe you're using a boom microphone. If you can get all of these things out of the shot on the wide end, then it's gonna make getting all of the other coverage so much faster. Think about it like this. If I have all of my stuff out of the shot on the wide end, all I have to do, switch to my close-up, move in closer, get the close-up shot. Easy. Whereas if you set up all of these lights and diffusers and stuff around the close-up shot, then you now have to move this big light back, and then you gotta put it back on the boom arm or the C-stand, right? And then you gotta figure out how to diffuse the light. You gotta figure out how to hide it from out of the shot, and then you gotta figure out how to hide the mic out of the shot. Whereas if you would have done it the other way around, you could have bounced around set and not have to worry about the lighting at all. And it's a lot easier for you to move in a bounce card than for you to move out 3 different lights on the wide shot. So always frame up for your widest shot first. It'll help you a ton on set and it'll save you a ton of time. Always frame up for your widest shot first. And my third cinematography tip that I wish I knew when I first started out is practice separating your subject. And when I first started shooting music videos, I had a ton of music videos where you got the artist friends, they're all in a group. They're just bouncing and jumping around in front of convenience stores or super cool cars, or you might have them in the studio. Regardless though, it's just, the whole video is just the artist with his friends jumping around, right? And the reason I effed up doing this is I'm assuming that the audience knows who the artist is, when if you've never seen this artist before, you don't even know this artist, how would you know who the artist is? Especially when they got 5 other people around them and everybody in the shot singing the song. you don't know who the subject is. So I see that a lot with like low budget music videos. People don't practice on separating their subject in the shot. And I'm gonna tell you a couple different ways how you can do this. Now, one tip you hear a lot is make sure your subject is the brightest object in a shot. And this is a great tip. This is a great tip that you should follow majority of the time, but people often don't talk about the other ways that you can separate your subject in a shot. Your subject can be the darkest object in the shot and they will stand out. Think about like beautiful sunsets where you have your subject in the shot and they're silhouetted out. They're the darkest thing in the shot. It just draws your eyes to this mysterious figure in the shot. So it doesn't have to be the brightest object in the shot. It can be the darkest object in the shot. Another way you can separate your subject in shots is you can use color. Now, it doesn't have to be color correction. It can be the color of the person's outfit in contrast to the background, or it can be contrast with colors in terms of different light colors that you used. These are all ways that you can practice on separating your subject in shots. So practice this, man, because I went for a long time thinking that the audience was just gonna know who the subject was in these projects that I was doing. And throughout the practice of separating my subject in shots, it significantly helped the viewer get more connected to the subject in the video. Now, the fourth cinematography tip that I wish I knew when I first started out is filming on the shadowed side of your subject. Now, let me know if you've ever done this, and don't lie. Do not lie. All right, you get your camera, right? You first get your camera, you've been filming for a little bit, and you get an opportunity to rent lights, right? So the first thing you do when you rent lights is you turn the light on maximum brightness, you shoot it straight at your subject, and then you get on the brightest side of your subject and you film from that way. Let me know, don't lie. It doesn't even have to be with rented lighting. Like, you know, you first get your camera and then you go out and film during the day and you turn your subject around and the sun is blasted directly on your subject and you film from that way. I don't know why, it's just the instinct that we do when we first start out. This is a bad way to approach it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Shadows create emotion and depth. And if you film on the brightest side of your subject, you have no emotion or depth in your shots anyways. When we're filming, we're looking to grab that cinematic look, that edgy look, the shadows, the contrast. You have to have contrast and shadows to create emotion in your shots. So you need shadows. And most of the time, filming from the shadow side creates this. It's a great tip that I always gravitate towards. I never film on the brightest side of my subject. And another big problem with filming on the brightest side of your subject is most of the time you're battling your own shadow from being in a shot. If I'm filming a shot, right, and the sun's at my back and the sun is blasting directly on the subject in the shot, my shadow is also gonna be in the shot. Whereas if I just shift this entire thing around and film on the shadow side of the subject, I no longer have to worry about my shadow potentially being in the shot. So these are all things to think about, man. Film on the shadowed side of your subject. It looks better, it's more cinematic, it adds a lot more emotion. Just try it out, I'm telling you. Now, before I get into this last and final cinematography tip, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, SoundStripe. Now, SoundStripe is a licensing platform for music for your videos. So whether you're an upcoming YouTuber, you create commercial content, or you just need music for montage videos, with the plan on SoundStripe, you can get unlimited licensing for your projects through SoundStripe. The plans on SoundStripe are super affordable. They have an array of different genres and characteristics, and a lot of different search terms and ways that you can find the perfect song for your project. And one of the biggest things that I love about SoundStripe is that they have an entire library of sound effects as well. So when it's time for me to go in and do sound design for my projects, I can just go in, type in whatever I'm searching for, download it, drop it straight into my project, and it's super easy. SoundStripe just also got a stock video model as well. So if you're looking for stock video clips for your video projects, it's a great option for that as well. This is a list of everything that you can get on the SoundStripe platform. You really can't beat it for the price, man. So head over there, use code YCImaging20 to get 20% off of any of those plans. You will not be disappointed, I'm telling you. Now, the fifth and final cinematography tip that I wish I knew when I first started out is don't film white walls. Now, this is a general rule of thumb for me. If the wall doesn't have a texture on it and it's just completely white and it's flat, do not film up against it because it's just flat out boring. Now, a way to combat this is if you have a scene that has flat out white walls, you can use lamps like that one. You can use greenery like back there. You can use photos. You can use curtains. You can use shelves. It's a bunch of different things that you can add to accent a flat out white wall. And one really cool thing that you can do to kind of get rid of a white wall is use a color light and cast it onto that white wall so the background is a totally different color. But a flat out white wall it's just boring. It gives you no depth when you're filming up against it. So that's a general rule of thumb for me. Never film a white wall. And another really big problem with filming like straight up white walls is if your camera doesn't have a bit depth of over 8-bit, you tend to get really bad banding when you're filming up straight against a white wall. It's like those ugly like circle patterns that you get on your footage. If you're using like a consumer DSLR mirrorless camera that has 8-bit footage depth, then you're gonna get that ugly banding anyway. So that's a simple rule of thumb for me. Never film a straight up white wall. A brick wall is cool, you know, even if it has some texture on it, a little bit of wear and tear, that looks dope, but just a flat out white wall, it's just boring, man. That's a cinematography tip too. So yeah, man, those are 5 cinematography tips that I wish I knew when I first started out. Do me a favor, man, head down to the comment section and let me know, what was your favorite tip out of all of these, and are you guilty of doing any of these? I know the majority of them I've done every single time when I first started out. So look, man, listen to these. They'll help you a ton with filming pretty much anything, man. But with that being said, you know, if you're newer to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. I make content tutorial based. I make vlogs, a lot of different random content here about cinematography and filmmaking. So consider hitting that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop it a like. I'm out, y'all. Peace.